Let's try to recreate the different formulas for the goal tracker sheet that you just watched a video about. So first, how do you get a bunch of dates over here? Well, let's type in the first date. So let's type in this date 1/1/2017. And I think even if I put dashes in, it switches to the format with the slashes. Now, if you select that cell and drag down, you'll see that it just keeps going and it does all the dates for you. So it's a very handy feature, first, second, third. And so how far did we go? Down to 102. But remember, you don't necessarily even have to know 102. You can just say, I want to start. So let's say we want to do all the under health or eat breakfast goals. So we're going to say equals the sum. Okay, so I'll do it sum, and it's going to be from B4, and I can go B4 to B, and that should do all of them in that column. So now it's going to shrink. I'll put the equal sign there. And so we see we have 17 in that one. And now all of these columns are just summing up how much we did. So let's just take that formula, and we want to get the plus sign over it. Okay, so it's doesn't want to give it to me, so I'll keep trying. There it is. Okay, so we pull that plus sign over all the way over to here. And so we count up. So if we look at this one, it's giving us a sum of everything in C. 16 of them, 20 here. Okay, so now we've got all that. So this is a very flexible spreadsheet. And what it wants to do is it wants to let you add in new categories. So it wants you to be able to do this. Insert one on the right here. And instead of health, maybe you want to put in a personal goal. So it wants to still get the correct sum there. Okay, so maybe your personal goal is play piano. Learn how to play piano. Or practice piano. Okay, and so you notice here, right now, there was 0 from personal. But if I put a 1 in there for personal, you notice how it added 1. So even though it's not in the personal block. Well, how does it do that? So under personal, if we look at personal, we're going to see how it would do it. And it's doing the sum if. So it's looking for personal in this row and then grabbing what's there. Okay, so it's using that sum if. So I'm going to show you that sum if. Okay, so here we go. So we've got our health. So if I take out the equal sign, we can see it. It says sum if B2 to I2. Okay, so B2, here's all our categories: health, 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 academic, academic, personal, personal. And then the middle one says L2. So L2 is health. Okay, so it says if for any column that I find health in, add up what's in column B. So I look into, if this says health, then I'm going to grab this one. Okay, health, nothing there, but I grab it. Health there, I grab it. I come to here, academic, I'm not interested. So I do that sum if there. Okay, so we'll put our equal sign back. Okay, and we're going to grab that. So then what we do is we propagate that formula down. Okay, so we propagate it down. What are we going to do under academic? So in academic, we're going to also do a sum if. So let's work on it. So we'll say sum if, and where do we want to go to? Same thing. So it's actually, we can we can bring that formula over. So if we bring the formula over, right, and we say, well, has it worked? So we look over here, and let me get rid of the equal sign so you can see what it brought over. It said B2 to I2. Okay, so it looks at the categories again. And then it said L2. Well, we don't want L2, right? L2 is health, so we have to change it to, if this is a column looking for academic, then we say, oh, that's M2. So look for M2, but in the same row. Okay, so we're happy with that. Okay, so you see I got mixed up. I was actually in the health row, so I try and fix that. Okay, so I said, no, that was L2. Okay, leave that as it was. Why is nothing happening there? Well, without the equal sign. So as soon as I put the equal sign, it gets real small, so I put the equal sign in front. Okay, so then this one is M2, so that actually worked fine. And then we go over here and we see, can we pull it over here? So we pull that formula over to there, and we get a 0 for personal. Well, let's see what the formula says. So the formula says sum if, and it looks at N2, so that works fine. Okay, and then what would you do? You drag each of those formulas down. Okay, so what would the total for health be? Well, we could drag that formula up. Okay, and we get for health 71 total. So what is that doing? It's saying if this is health, then grab these. Well, let's see if that worked. So 17 and 16, 33 plus 20, 53, 71. Okay, so that formula looks good too, and we're going to drag it over there. Okay, so we'll see if we can get that to work for you. Okay, so look at that formula again. Let's make it bigger. So sum if B2 to I2. So looking at each of these categories, if it matches L2, if it matches health, then count what's in row 3. So it'll just do these. So notice it wouldn't matter if health was over here, it would still count it. It's just looking for the title of the column. Okay, so we'll put our equal sign back, and there we are. Now he also, the spreadsheet made a couple of charts. So let's see if we can make the charts. And if you look what they did, they put the data from these columns, and they put it like this. And the reason for that is it's a bit easier to make your charts when the categories are here and the data is there. So we go and we say, okay, we're going to insert a chart. So let's insert a chart. Okay. And what will it do for us? It'll insert a nice pie chart from that. Okay, so go ahead and insert your pie chart about which goals that you did. Okay, so I'll cancel that. But so remember, you can insert a chart, and then you have the option of putting it in its own sheet. So you move it over to its own sheet. Okay, so now we go back. Well, what's another thing you can do? So if we look at the other chart that was made, see if I can grab it here. Having trouble grabbing it. Okay, so there we go. We grab it, and we see how it has total goals kept in January. And so you wonder, well, how did they make that chart? How did they make a chart that shows the total goals kept in January? Okay, so let's think about it. It looks like they've got dates and the totals here. Okay, so let's see if we can do that. Well, one way we could do it is with these dates. So let's highlight the dates in January. Okay, and we're going to insert chart. Okay, and here you see that you've selected A4 to A34, but then you can add another data range. So we're going to add another data range, and let's add in under all. So we'll say final, instead of A4 to A34, let's do K4 colon K34. So we're going to take these guys and these guys, and we'll say OK. Okay, so now we've got those two, and we're going to combine them vertically. Let's give that a try and do let's see if we can do a column chart. Try a bar chart. Okay, so maybe we have to combine it horizontally. Okay, so we'll try it horizontally, and a bar. What about a column? All right, there we go. Okay, so I selected the two ranges. I said combine them horizontally, and now I have my chart. And it shows for each day how many of my goals I got. Okay, so we can insert that chart. Okay, so give that a try. So you want to set up these, which are just sum. So this is the sum of B4 to B. Pull that across. Then use your sum if and say, looking at the categories, if I find health, then to add what's here. And you do that for each of the rows. Okay, and then make your two charts.